Baby boomers, Gen X, millennials, and now we have Gen Zs, the first generations of true digital natives. They are talented, creative, tech-savvy, but they are also more likely to report mental health concerns.
Gen Z.
Than Generation Z. Generation Z.
Generation Z.
Anxiety and unhappiness.
According to the National Alliance on Mental Illness, United States of America, 1 in 5 U.S. adults suffer from mental health illness each year, and suicide is the second leading cause of death among people aged 10 to 34. So, have you ever wondered what exactly are mental health problems and how can they affect people to such a great extent? In this documentary, we, Group 6, will focus on answering some questions regarding mental health in Generation Z with an aim to provide a better understanding to this alarming matter. According to mentalhealth.gov, mental health includes our emotional, psychological, and social well-being. It affects how we think, feel, and act. It also helps determine how we handle stress, relate to others, and make choices. Mental health is important at every stage of life, from childhood and adolescence through adulthood. Recently, the matter of mental health in Generation Z, which is a group born between 1997 and 2012, has become a growing concern. Only 45% of Generation Z individuals, as reported by APA, say their mental health is good or very good. That's 11% less than the next closest generation. More than 9 in 10 Gen Z adults say they have experienced at least one physical or emotional symptom because of stress, such as feeling depressed or sad, lacking interest, motivation, or energy. Only half of all Gen Zs feel like they do enough to manage their stress. In Vietnam, 30% of the population suffer from depression, and suicide ranks the second in the nation's causes of death, just behind traffic accidents. So, what makes Gen Z suffer from so many mental problems? It is necessary to bear in mind that people in Gen Z are much different from those belonging to Gen Y or X. Specifically, they are the first generation to be completely raised under the influence of the internet and develop technological devices like smartphones and computers. They are interconnected globally with a diverse range of people and largely communicate through technology and social media. This generation is slowly starting to face real-world challenges like paying for school, finding a job, and managing the stress of daily life as an adult. All these facets gradually lead to more serious issues, or we may say, mental health struggles. In order to have a closer look at why young people have mental health issues, we conducted a survey in October, reaching 141 youngsters, both male and female, mostly college students aged between 18 and 22. The most popular causes include personal issues, social media, and work study. Firstly, in our survey, personal issues rank as the first contributor to mental health problems. More than 50% of those asked say that they are easily affected by people's opinions, including comments online and offline, either good or bad. They display their lack of confidence, showing that nearly half of them believe that they are not confident and expect too much of themselves. This is linked directly to the effects of social media on young people. Interviewees use social media platforms on average 1 to more than 3 hours a day, meaning that they are exposed to diverse contents and images. Though it helps them connect easily, they run the risk of being cyberbullied, as 1/5 of them reported to have been attacked online. Thirdly, pressures may come from work and study.
한국은 주변 사람들이 열심히 하니까 자기도 옆에 사람만큼 열심히 해야겠다 이런 생각이 많이 드는 것 같아요.
More than half of the interviewees stated that they work in a highly stressful environment. They often feel overloaded and exhausted by the heavy workload at school and office. Moreover, they express little satisfaction with their academic and work outcomes, leading to intense anxiety and stress among young people. Another worth mentioning factor is the family. Though interviewees say their parents show high expectations on their academic and work outcomes, such factor does not significantly impact their mental health. Therefore, we may conclude that the top causes are personal issues, work, study, and media.
Instability in mental conditions can result in detrimental effects on Gen Z's life, including poor social life, worsened physical health, and dangerous behaviors. Sometimes the consequences are irreversible or even fatal. Members of Gen Zs who struggle with their mental illnesses are also likely to encounter problems in their social relationships, since mental disorders impact not just the individuals themselves, but also those around them. In many cases, they become scared or hesitant to disclose their feelings to their family and friends for fear of being judged and misunderstood, which is why many individuals experiencing these problems attempt to conceal or downplay their difficulties. And as a result, these youngsters may experience weakened familial bonds and tend to be alienated from their peers because of perceived unattractive personality traits or behaviors. On the contrary, as stated by the UK Economic and Social Research Council, people with supportive friends and family generally have better mental conditions than those who lack these networks. Unfortunately, the role of social relationships in tackling mental problems in Vietnam have not been properly acknowledged, according to Mr. Nguyễn Đức Giang, consultant of Yale's Up Centers. For many years, mental illness has been a topic towards which little to no attention has been paid. It is especially underestimated, neglected, and ridiculed by Vietnamese parents. Due to that fact, patients tend to hide their problems and suffer alone.
In addition, the way that people experience their mental illnesses can increase their susceptibility to developing poor physical health. Mental illnesses can alter hormonal balances and sleep cycles, while many psychiatric medications have side effects ranging from weight gains to irregular heart rhythms. On top of that, people may lack motivation to take care of themselves, or they may adopt unhealthy eating and sleeping habits, smoke or abuse substances, as a consequence or response to their symptoms, contributing to worse health outcomes. Finally, youngsters who experience serious mental problems over a long period of time, especially those who lack professional treatment, may resort to extreme methods such as self-harm or suicidal behaviors. People suffering from depression or anxiety may attempt to find a tangible way to control the pain they are feeling internally. They may feel unable to control emotional struggles and may consider self-injury as a way to physically take hold of their problems. People who practice self-harm don't always cut or burn themselves deeply enough to cause serious injury. However, the longer this behavior continues, the more likely they are to cause themselves irreversible harm. Mr. Đặng Văn Nguyên, a psychologist, said that this can be an unprecedented struggle. Providing some professional insight, he stated that about 70% of suicidal cases due to depression were those of Generation Z, much higher than those of previous generations such as Millennials and X. In the case of TVL, a fourth-year undergraduate, he confessed that he was first met with a severe mental breakdown during a traumatic event he experienced not long before the start of the 10th grade. He remembers skipping meals, secluding himself from others, silencing his negative feelings with self-harm, and sleeping away suicidal intentions. While outsiders will count the privileges of technology advancement Gen Z members are born with, they also overlook the expectations and pressure that these youngsters have to bear. The fact that many Gen Z members have to struggle from mental illnesses is real, and so are the consequences they have to encounter.
Oh, I don't think so.
Yeah, I think it's true.
Gen Z thì thiếu đề kháng với áp lực so với thế hệ đi trước là sai.
That youngsters nowadays have so much on their nerves that they don't know how to cope with since their parents didn't experience the kind of stress they have right now. So that doesn't really mean they lack resistance or something.
Because they have suffered from a lot of pressure since birth, and when they grow up, that pressure also grew simultaneously, and they just don't know how to cope with that. At school or even in the soft skill lessons, they just do not teach a lot of young people to how to cope with it. So that's why young people nowadays like a lot of resistance against the pressure in life.
Thời các cụ ấy thực ra cũng có những con người cũng không thể vượt qua được áp lực cuộc sống mà, nhưng có điều là vì bây giờ là mạng internet nó kiểu phát triển hơn ấy, thành ra là họ sẽ dễ dàng thấy hơn thôi.
Thì đối với mỗi thế hệ thì độ tuổi khác nhau thì tính chất và mức độ của áp lực mà họ phải đối mặt là khác nhau. Thì không nên áp đặt tư tưởng của thế hệ đi trước thì đối với thế hệ đi sau. Ở độ tuổi chưa hoàn toàn trưởng thành thì dù thuộc thế hệ nào thì người trẻ cũng sẽ khó tránh khỏi những cảm xúc tiêu cực bi quan.
So the latter is true for me. Gen Z are more open when it comes to sharing their emotions. Like our parents experienced those sort of feelings too, but they didn't show or they didn't know that they even had them. Psychology research did not as fully develop back then, and media was not as popular. So nowadays our generation is more open, but media takes advantage of it and makes us the ones who brag about or exaggerate things. One thing to note is that every generation has someone who overstates things, but we see more nowadays because we live at the moment and media is the main thing consumed every day.
I think both. They do overreact, but they also more open when it comes to sharing their emotions. The first part, they overreact. Some of my friends are, or a lot of young people I saw on the internet, because of the minor thing of pressure in their life, they start to think that they have got depression, although they're not. They are more open to sharing their emotion. I think it's true because young generation, they are more open because it's one of the traits of the young generation. They are more open, and I think that simply is.
Cô khá là nghiêng về phương án thứ hai hơn, đó là các bạn đang cởi mở hơn trong việc chia sẻ cảm xúc của mình. Việc các bạn phản ứng ra ngoài và cho người khác biết về vấn đề của mình thì đó cũng là một dấu hiệu cho thấy là các bạn đang cởi mở hơn trong việc chia sẻ cảm xúc, chia sẻ suy nghĩ của mình.
I do suffer from pressure sometimes. It often comes from schoolwork. I myself assume that if my schoolwork is not done well enough, my life is screwed. Also, pressure like peer pressure contributes a lot to my daily struggle, like seeing my friends, especially my close ones, to be honest, achieve things that I currently do not have. That sort of feeling haunts me even in my sleep.
Like a lot of other young people, I also experienced the peer pressure. Because when you go to school and you have to compete with other friends, and there are a lot of people who are better than you. And I also have to, gone through the pressure from my parents, from my relatives, and who expect me to live well and better than them. And that's the two causes. And it just makes me feel so frustrated and really depressed.
In conclusion, it can be seen that mental health has now received more attention than ever before. Life becomes more modern and convenient than in the past, but the pace of life is also faster. The amount of information is larger, and so is the workload. These things, together with some other factors, can contribute to mental breakdown in Gen Z. It is reasonable to say that Gen Z is more prone to stress than other generations. However, when compared to the figures from other generations, we find out that Gen Z's mental breakdown is not that unexpectedly higher than Gen Y or Gen X. It is just because Gen Z is now growing up in the era of social media when people are more open to sharing. Stories about their mental health problems are more likely to go viral and gain more empathy. Regarding the impacts of this reality, while sharing openly can help as a source of support to Gen Z when they suffer from distress, this could make people think that Gen Z is just overreacting to their mental well-being. In case a Gen Z desperately needs help and seeks advice, being told that you're just overreacting or you will definitely get over it could make things even worse. Hence, our team believes that it's high time the society took mental well-being into serious consideration. Although the causes of this crisis in the rise of poor mental health can be diverse and hard to pinpoint, the fact that Gen Z is hugely affected by stress, anxiety, and depression cannot be ignored. If you are struggling with your life, we encourage you to seek help. If you are a parent or a teacher that is watching this documentary project, we encourage you to show kindness and empathy to youngsters. Help can be provided by listening, sharing, and comforting. Help can also be provided by reducing the workload and lowering expectations in Gen Z's performance. We hope that this documentary project can raise people's awareness of youngsters' mental well-being. Gen Z is living in a world that is greatly different from the one that past generations grew up in. Hence, they deserve more empathy and respect from others to better lead their life.